Do you need to change the oil in your Mercury 60 horsepower 4-stroke? I'm going to show you how. Stick around. Hey folks, Keith here, Chicken Thigh Fishing. Welcome aboard. Well, if you can't tell by the thick hoodie, it's fall, so it's time for some maintenance on the boat. Today we're going to change the oil in our main motor, and I have a 2021 Mercury 60 horse EFI 4-stroke, and it's on the 2021 Tracker Protein 175 TXW. Very easy process. If you've ever changed the oil in the car, it's no different than that. I'll walk you through it, and I'll point out things that are basic in case you're just not familiar with changing oil, and we'll get you through this super easy task, much needed. You should change your oil annually, at least, if not every 100 hours on your engine. So the areas on the motor that we're going to be dealing with when it comes to changing the oil are the oil drain plug, which is located down here in your lower unit. Up here on the engine you will see the oil filter, and you can see that it was marked last time I changed the oil, and that was almost a year ago, so we're going to go ahead and change that now. The oil dipstick is right here, and that is just a flip lock, and all you got to do is flip that open to release the pressure on it, and you can pull out the dipstick. And that just locks in place like that. And then the other thing we're going to concern ourselves with is the oil fill, and the oil fill cap is located here. You'll see the yellow, and that's in the back of the engine. So the oil that we're going to be using is 25W40, and the oil capacity of this engine is 3.17 quarts. And I believe that holds true for the 40, 50, and 60 horse, and I believe that holds true for any of these engines that are 2001 and newer. And so 3.17 quarts, don't neglect the 0.17. That works out to about 5.5 ounces, give or take. So we're going to be doing 3 quarts plus 5.5 ounces from a 4th quart. I'm going to walk you through the process. Super easy. As long as you have the right stuff to do it, you're good to go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is remove that drain plug, and for that I'm going to use an 18mm socket, and I'm going to have a flexible funnel on hand because that just makes it easier when the oil drains out of the motor and goes down into the pan. I'll show you. I'm going to set my oil catch pan out here. Now when you first take this drain plug out, the pressure from the oil is going to shoot it out pretty far. You know, maybe out like a foot and a half from the engine, but as the oil comes out, it's going to eventually be coming out with less pressure, so you're going to want to move your tray in to catch it. And I also like to have on hand a flexible funnel so I can kind of catch it underneath here and guide it to wherever I need to get into my catch pan. So we're going to go ahead and crack the drain plug. And then once we have it cracked, we can undo it the rest of the way, remove it with our fingers, and once again, just going to have a rag on hand to clean up as necessary. And when you get ready to take it out, you want to kind of gauge how far it's going to shoot out of here on you. And there you can see. And I'll just set the drain plug aside, and we'll let that drain out, and you're going to get a little drippage, and then as you see, it's going to get closer as it comes out. And just so I can minimize the amount of oil that's going to drip down the housing, that's where I'm going to use this funnel. And a little flexible neck funnel will allow you just to have it go whichever direction you like. And it keeps there from being a ton of oil. I mean, you're going to get oil on your lower unit. There's really no way of doing it otherwise. But it kind of minimizes it. And so as I let the last bit strip out of there, I'm going to go ahead and clean off the drain plug. And go ahead and reinsert it. And once I get that hand tight, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the oil here. And then we'll go ahead and re-secure that drain plug. Now I got that good and snug. I don't know the exact torque specifications for that, but if you want to follow the torque specifications, I'm quite sure it's available in the manual, and if you have a torque wrench, you can go ahead and do that. So to remove the oil filter, there's any number of different types of oil filter wrenches you can use. You can use a cap type like this. You could use this type. There's any number of types you can use. I didn't have one of these that fits this, so I'm going to go ahead. I dug these out of my tool chest. We'll use these. So I'm going to take a rag and stuff it in here because there's going to be some residual oil that wants to come out of there. And just to avoid that going into the engine compartment, I'll put a rag in there that'll be able to absorb that. So I'm just going to get myself fitted on the oil filter and crack that. And pretty much once you crack an oil filter, you can do the rest by hand. So we're going to go ahead and unscrew that. And there's your old oil filter. And now that's, if you're not familiar with changing oil on engines, this is going to be full of oil. So you want to try to keep that from going everywhere. So I'm going to use this rag, clean up the oil that came out there. Now it's almost impossible not to get any residual oil anywhere, but if you use rags judiciously, you can keep that down to a minimum. So as you can see, I didn't get too much left over in here. And so now that is ready for us to install the new oil filter. So here's the oil filter we're going to use. I'll put the number up on the screen for you, and that number should apply to any 40, 50, and 60 horse EFI Mercury motors of the 4-stroke variety, 1998 or newer, I believe, and that's the number of the oil filter you need. So we'll go ahead and get our new oil filter, remove the plastic cover. I'm going to take a little of the old oil here and give it a little coating on the ring here for a seal, and then we'll stick it on the neck and go ahead and screw that on. Now you don't have to go crazy when tightening an oil filter on a car or a boat engine. Hand tight will generally do it, or a little more than hand tight, but you don't want to crank down on it. So I've got that good and tight, hand tight, and that's really all you need. You can give it a little tweak with your wrench, but again, you don't want to go overboard. Tightening an oil filter. So I'm going to go ahead and mark it with the date, so when it comes time to change it next time, I know when the last time I changed it was, so I make sure I change it in a timely fashion. So we'll go ahead and date the oil change there. So the next thing we're going to do is fill her up with new oil. And again, it's going to be 3.17 quarts of 25W40 oil. And we'll go ahead and remove this drain, this fill plug. And we'll set that fill plug aside. And we'll get our funnel. And so now we will slowly fill her up with 3.17 quarts of 25W40. And so again, we just put the 3 quarts in, and we need another 0.17 quarts, which works out to just about 5.5 ounces. So I'm going to take my 32-ounce quart container and pour that down right about 26.5 to 27 ounces left, and that'll give me the correct amount. And there we go. Yeah, I'm just going to get my rag to be careful when I pull this funnel out, just so I don't drip oil into the engine compartment here. And naturally there's going to be oil in your funnel, so unless you want it all over the place, you just want to be cognizant of that. And I'm going to clean around the oil fill cap, being careful not to let any debris get into the engine while I do that. And then we'll replace the oil cap, the fill cap. That threads in, and so you want to make sure that's good and hand tight. And there you have it, folks. We just changed the oil in a Mercury 64-stroke EFI. You got your new filter on. Make sure that's good and tight, snug, hand tight, but not over tightened. Maybe a quarter of a turn with a oil filter wrench afterwards, but don't go crazy on it. Make sure that your oil fill cap is on snug so that it will not come off under regular operating conditions. And then if you like, you can go ahead and check your oil. And again, your oil dipstick is here, and so you just lift it up to unlock it. Go ahead and pull that out. And we'll go ahead and check it. And we are at the max fill line, so we're good to go. So I'm going to reinsert the oil dipstick, and it's got the lever that locks it down. Push that lever down, it's locked in place. And you, my friend, just changed your oil, so congratulations. Easy job, anybody can do it, really. You just want to take your time, be clean about it, don't get oil everywhere, and it'll make your life a lot easier. Hey, I hope this was a help to you if you own this particular engine, a 40, a 50, a 60 Mercury EFI 4-stroke. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay fishing, my friends.